Throughout all these years, I've learned a hard truth about this land. Nothing survives without water. No crops can grow, no animals can thrive, and not even the stories or legacy we leave behind can stand if the land is dry and dying. Water is the one thing that keeps everything alive, the magic force behind every morning's green, every sunset's glow, and every heartbeat of this place. Without it, all the hard work, hopes, and dreams are lost. I stood there that day, boots plunging deep into the cracking dust, my eyes glued to a herd of 2,000 cattle suffering under the relentless Texas sun. My ranch, passed down through 4 generations, was bone dry, not for lack of trying. We'd fought to bring rain, built rain tanks, and even tried new drought-resistant grass. Yet, the land refused to change. The real reason wasn't just dry weather. It was because of the HOA's decision. They claimed my land wasn't theirs to ruin, but theirs to control, overseeing my water rights and limiting how I could use my own property. I didn't just sit back and ask for a handout. I took action. I submitted detailed blueprints, environmental studies, and even got signatures from experts supporting my cause. All I needed was one well, just a single, steady source of water. One well that could bring life back to the land. It was a simple ask, a basic need. But the HOA, in their endless wisdom, flatly denied me. They claimed drilling a well could harm the water table while sitting comfortably at their well-appointed lawn parties, funded by fees from landowners like me. Their claims were thin, their logic flawed, but their power was real. Then I uncovered the truth. It changed everything. I found evidence of more water being diverted elsewhere. Water used for the HOA's golf courses, lakes, and landscaping. It was enough to support every ranch and farm in the county. I realized that their stance was more about control than conservation. If they wanted to fight, I was ready. My promise, made over the casket of my father, still echoed in my mind. His last words had been simple but powerful. "Make this land green again, son, no matter what it takes." He'd spoken those words 3 days before he passed, knowing the land was dying from drought and neglect. He had fought his whole life to farm here, to maintain this place and pass it on in better shape than he found it. Cancer had taken his body, but his spirit, his stubborn drive to fight, remained in me. That promise weighed heavy in my heart, fueling every decision I made afterward. When my cattle started collapsing, I knew I had to act fast. We had only 2 weeks of water left. 2 weeks before every one of those animals, my family's legacy, would die of thirst. They weren't just livestock. They were part of the land's story, part of my family's history, and a livelihood built over generations. Watching them weaken and die was more than painful. It was unacceptable. I couldn't stand by and watch the land swallow them up. I made my move. I planned a well, dug deeper into every regulation, combed through law books, and connected with contacts I'd built over the years. My permits were ready to go. I even bought a water drilling rig, shelling out the last of my emergency savings to get it. It was a gamble, but I knew I had no choice. Then the letter came. It was like a blow to the stomach. The HOA had banned me from digging on my own land. My land, my water, and my future denied. No explanation, no hearing, just a snide note from some HOA chairman sitting in his plush office. Their excuse was community sustainability, yet they turned their backs on the land's real needs. I was 10 miles from the nearest HOA neighbor, managing land the size of a small city. The rules they threw at me made no sense. They acted as if they owned the property, as if my rights didn't matter. It was clear they cared more about maintaining their lawns and decorative lakes than supporting the people who actually worked this ground. That's when my anger boiled over. I knew I needed to look deeper. 2 days later, I uncovered something that made my blood run cold. The HOA had installed 2 industrial-grade irrigation wells, water machines not to water their lawns or grow food, but to keep their artificial lakes, golf course greens, and fancy fountains looking perfect. I found the contracts, saw the water they used, and realized it was enough to irrigate every farm, every pasture, all across the county. Yet they refused to give me a drop. If they wanted to fight, they had just picked the wrong man. I called in every favor I had, lawyers, inspectors, even a retired EPA advisor who owed my father a favor from decades ago. We started digging, and finally we found an old deed clause buried deep in the title records that granted my family rights to upstream water access. It was a legal loophole, one that could be used to challenge their hold over the water. I made a decision then. I installed a shutoff valve, fully legal, smart as can be. One twist of a wrench, and every drop of water feeding their golf courses, pools, and man-made lakes simply stopped. No more watering their rich lawns while my land was dying. No more wasting water on their artificial beauty while my cattle suffered. Within just 48 hours, their pristine greens began turning brown, their fountains slowed to a trickle, and they panicked. Emergency meetings erupted. Phones rang off the hook. They couldn't believe what had happened so fast. But I didn't cut off just their water. The water I controlled still flowed to the ranchers nearby, those who depended on it the most. I kept their water flowing, making sure they could save their herds. I refused to be the villain who devastated everyone else for my own needs. That's when I saw the real strength of this land, community and resilience. Then came the final straw. The HOA board sent me a cease and desist letter. I smiled, then responded by sending them copies of my deed, my permits, and a detailed list of the legal rights I held. I also sent a bill, charging them for every drop of water they'd taken without permission. I played dirty and fair at the same time. In the end, the county stepped in. They reviewed my case carefully and confirmed my rights. They stripped the HOA of all water authority, making sure they could no longer interfere. Now, they have to come to me if they want water. Me, the landowner. The tables turned. Today, the land is green again. My well is pumping clean, fresh water. My cattle are strong and healthy. People across the region hear what happened here and realize how vital water rights are. This wasn't just mine. It's a victory for every farmer, rancher, and landowner fighting for their piece of the land. Water is life, and I fought to make sure it stayed that way.